Well, hello, folks. Welcome to another episode of Whiskey Calling here. Friday night, sitting back, relaxing. So I thought I'd, say hello to you guys and give you guys a few thoughts on a couple bourbons that I've tried here tonight. The first one I tried was John B. Stetson. Take a look at that. And I tried it for the first time. Cracked it open tonight here. And my first impression, it was good. It was decent. You kind of had a light drying kind of element to it. So it was light, dry, had a bit of spice and burn to it, but the finish was a little bit unflavorful, and it was a little bit thin. A little bit too thin for my liking in times, but it was not bad at all. Reasonably priced, 42%. It's a straight bourbon whiskey. It's a sour mash, it says. And so, interesting. And if I recall, it was not badly priced or anything like that. And I'll dig into the bottle a little bit more. But my first impression was maybe a little bit, underwhelming to a degree, but not bad at all. But it was a nice start. It was a good little, first dram of the night, so to speak. But here's a showstopper, folks. That I tried a second bourbon for the first time ever. Chuckanut Bay. Slow crafted bourbon whiskey. And I'll give you my thoughts on this in a sec here. 48%. I'll give you a little bit of a, rundown of what it says at the back of the bottle here. It says, Chuckanut Bay Distillery, introducing award-winning Chuckanut Bay Distillery bourbon, the quintessential American spirit, handmade in our slow-crafted Bellingham style. Our grains, corn, rye, and wheat come from local farms located within a 30-mile radius. We mill, mash, ferment, distill, and age it to perfection in charred American white oak barrels right here at our distillery. We hope you enjoy it. So, yeah, I got this at Wine and Beyond, and reasonably priced. I think it was somewhere in between the $50 and $65 range. I can't quite remember for sure, but in that kind of range. So pretty reasonable. And I didn't know too much more else about it. I think I tried to check out their website. And, I recall, I thought I kind of looked around, a week or two ago, so I apologize. I can't remember what it said. And like I said on this channel before, I'm more of a taster, not a researcher. So, I'll just give you my thoughts on the tasting, because sometimes I don't want to know too much. And this is a good example of one. I don't know too much about it. Took a sip, and I'll tell you something, it blew the top right off my head. This is flat out one of the best bourbons I've ever tried. I mean, this thing, if you watched the channel before, you'll know I'm a pretty big fan of Garrison Brothers. That's probably my favorite whiskey I've ever tried. This is right there, folks. Right there. It's I was just sending out a text to some friends, and I was kind of just telling them what I thought of this. And the comparison that came to me was, if you're beer drinkers at all, Garrison Brothers is sort of like Guinness in this comparison, and Chuckanut Bay is Kilkenny. And if any of you guys are familiar with those beers, I hope that kind of paints a picture for you. Both just have their own extraordinary element to them. Both perfect in their own way. Chuckanut Bay is just a little bit lighter than Garrison Brothers, and maybe a touch sweeter, and a touch. Obviously Kilkenny's a little bit lighter than Guinness, and that's kind of where that comparison comes. But I'm going to give you guys a little bit of an idea. It's kind of got that waxy. Garrison Brothers has that waxy texture for me. It feels like you're almost biting through a candle in the best possible, in a very flavorful way. It has that vanilla kind of kick, and that rich, just sort of sweet body that just kind of comes through. Chuckanut Bay, it's got a little bit of everything, folks. It's got like, it's it's got a light nuttiness and a light honey, but it's got that rich, deep texture. And it's got some spice, and it is absolutely just a gorgeous, gorgeous bourbon. Like just, I can't say enough about it. This is my 2.5 dram here on this tonight. And this, what a, you know, to me, like what an absolute, what's the word I'm looking for? Just a hidden gem is I guess what I'm trying to say on this one. So folks, you know, give you an idea of what it smells and tastes like. I hope you got a dram here yourselves and you're kicking back and enjoying yourselves. Friday night, why not, right? That's the whole idea. Tell you what I think. Yeah, so I'm getting kind of a light honey. You know, there's cereals like, you know, Honey Nut Cheerios, right? And this has like, when you smell it, it's got two distinct flavors that hit you simultaneously, but they're very distinct. And one is sort of a nuttiness, almost like a nut mix. If you, you know, kind of peanuts in a bowl and you kind of be eating them for a little while and then you're kind of dipping back in, and kind of that smell, that kind of fresh peanut smell, that's coming out to me. But simultaneously, there's almost like a light honey that you would just pour on toast or you use somewhere else. It's like it's like the smells aren't mixed, they're distinct, but you smell them both at the same time. Very interesting experience. See what it tastes like. So, you know, the first part of the sip kind of carries through that little bit of that light honey flavor. But then very quickly, probably a quarter into the sip, maybe a third into the sip, you start to get that rich Garrison Brothers-like texture that I absolutely love. It's a vanilla flavor combined with kind of a waxy texture, and it kind of comes together and just sort of hits all at once, and then it just washes over. It just coats your mouth and goes all the way through. And then about 2/3 in, maybe 3/4 into the sip, a real spice kicks in. A nice peppery, hot, classic bourbon kind of spice hits, and then it starts to coat the kind of the middle of your tongue. Like I love bourbons that kind of, they hit that kind of the top middle, slightly back part of your tongue, and it sits there. It kind of bites into it. You almost feel like I've never heard this term before, but it's almost like the bourbon bite. There's certain bourbons that have a bite right in that top middle part of your tongue, and this has that, which I love. Like you know, any bourbon that has that, I love it. And so it's got that, and then, but it's not absolutely extreme, but it's absolutely there, and it doesn't last super long. But then it kind of settles into a really nice, just relaxing finish, kind of a light finish, and then you just want another sip, right? You just want another sip. So it is wonderful. I mean, I've always said about Kilkenny is possibly, you know, to me is possibly the world's, like I love Guinness as much as anybody, but I've always said that Kilkenny is possibly the world's perfect beer, because it's just got a bit of everything. It's so well balanced. It's got everything. This is getting there for me. Like this is kind of my my Kilkenny of bourbon at this point. This is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful bourbon. You know, it's lovely when it's great when you get a surprise like this. You know, I didn't really know too much about it. You're not really expecting it. I bought some bottles the other weekend, and I was kind of holding off trying some of them. Tried this one for the first time, and it just knocked my socks off. It's wonderful, wonderful bourbon. I'll give you guys another look at this bottle here, in case you missed it earlier. But for the price point and how good this is. Like, I'm gonna run out and see if I can get a couple reserve bottles for this kind of price. It's absolutely like Garrison Brothers I love, but pretty expensive in my market anyways. It's one of the more expensive bourbons that I've seen around that I like anyway. This thing is much cheaper, and it is like 90% there. So anyways, folks, hope you're enjoying the drink yourselves. Like, let me know what you think if you've tried this one before. Actually, I'm thinking a really interesting video might be a kind of a flight between Garrison Brothers and Chuckanut Bay. Just gotta compare and contrast, kind of with a fresh palate. So, I might try that this weekend or sometime in the next week or two for you guys. And, maybe I'll throw in like into that flight might be a really good idea is like a Elijah Craig or something, because I find Elijah Craig has some of that vanilla that I really like as well, but not quite the same texture as Garrison Brothers and Chuckanut Bay. But it'd be really interesting to kind of mix the three together in a flight and maybe just compare and contrast kind of thing. So I might do that. But anyways, folks, have a great Friday night. Hope you're enjoying yourselves. Let me know what you think, and have a great night, everybody.